Hello, YouTubers and Spotifyers. Also, welcome to the very, very edited highlight because of copyright, in which two nerds watch and react to Doctor Who. In this case, episodes 5, 6, and 7, which are the first three parts of the original Daleks, aka the mutants, aka the Dead Planet.
It's the one.
Because it has many titles. Because, of course, Old Who did. Anyway, so we're watching that. Join us for the full cut version on Patreon, which will be probably free. It may be a wee fee, but we'll see how it works. Copyright, blah, 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 blah. Hopefully it'll be free. Anyway, back to scheduled viewing. Tim, are you ready for this?
I believe I am.
All right, let me set this up. You talk a minute while I do that.
All right. Well, what do I say? I just hope everyone's having a really good time and very happy for Christmas. I'm not yet. I will be after some frantic wrapping. But, I just hope everyone else is more organised than I am.
Right, let's go back to the beginning. I think that's the beginning.
And
okay.
I think...
Right, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. The Dead Frickin' Planet. The Dead Christmas Planet. Maybe.
By Terry Frickin' Nation. Easily one of the greatest cliffhangers the show's done.
Brief pause in between episodes because that's a thing we do. Just to digest for a moment. Just digest. Not digest your pie necessarily, although I'll have to get myself a pie, I think. A more traditional pie. Share your thoughts on this one, Tim, while I go and grab myself a mincy pie. Ooh.
Yeah,
it's Christmas Eve.
Sorry?
It's Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yes.
For viewers, anyway. I can do my Christmas joke. Have I done it on this channel yet? I can't remember if I did.
I don't think so.
You don't
I dread to think. Go on.
Every year I find somebody who's not heard it. I've been telling this joke since 1987 when I heard it on the B-side of Mel Smith and Kim Wilde's Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
Oh, I was listening to that the other day.
On the A-side, you've got him and Griff Rhys and a few others doing Deck the Halls with la-di-da-di-da. And they get so bored of it, and Mel Smith goes, I'm fed up of decking halls with bloody holly. How about a Christmas joke? Okay, then he goes, and as I say, I've told this every year to somebody. Which secret agent is most active around Christmas?
I don't know. Which secret agent is most active around Christmas?
Mince spies.
You're going to go and get yourself one, are you? Probably for the best that you leave the room after dropping that one. Thank you very much. So, the Dead Planet is...
I'm still laughing.
Yeah. So I'm glad someone is. The Dead Planet. It's not quite like An Unearthly Child to the Tribe of Gum. It's not quite like a standalone episode, but there is a lot in it that I suppose pretty much the whole episode actually focuses still on that wonderful crew dynamic and the situation that Ian and Barbara have found themselves in, and the way that they are still kind of getting used to each other. They've been through a terrible experience, obviously, with the cavemen, and it seems it has kind of bonded them slightly. Oh, those fancy pants Tesco ones.
Oh, I blocked out the blinking names so that because I didn't have to advertise who they were. But yes,
they're those fancy pants ones that you've had before.
Yes, they're the fancy pants, not Tesco, but other brands are available. But I've got to say, the Tesco finest mini ones.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Not the rum ones. These are the little diddy ones, and they're so nice. One bite to click on. But
my kind of Danish pastry sausage roll type mince pies come from Aldi, but as I said, other brands are available, so that's fine. Anyway, back to the Dead Planet. Yeah, it is really just continuing their story. It's and again, what we see of the Doctor is not positive. It's not conducive to like a life of adventure. It's conducive to a very selfish, focused, self-centered man who's who wants to get his own way, basically, at the cost of everyone else around him. So in the film version, the Peter Cushing, he's very obviously he's kind of in on it with his granddaughter Susie. They're like a couple of kids together. Whereas here, there's no collusion with Susan at all. It's basically him against the other three. And you think about it, obviously, as we'll see developing in the Survivors, it's very, very dark undertones, and it's ramping up the consequences and the tension from what we've already had in the first 4 episodes with An Unearthly Child, because the consequences here are potentially fatal, disastrous. So there we go. That's me summing up the Dead Planet so far.
Well, I would basically agree with that. I don't think there's anything more to it. I think I like as I say, I think it's a crime almost in just modern Who, be it TV, audio, whatever, that they gloss over this, because it's important.
Yes.
I mean, when we get to it, obviously, the whole thing between Barbara and the Doctor in was it 7 episodes away, really? It's hugely important, and it's a shame that although fans certainly acknowledge it quite a lot, and whenever you hear people talk about it, it's all like, yeah, it was amazing and all that. It was, and it is. Narratively, certainly in canon, it seems to be ignored. I think it's a disservice to this, it's a disservice to the character of the Doctor as well. So I love that they trying to make the Doctor this great hero these days, and that's fine, but that's not how it was. The Doctor, when he ran away, he was no hero. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for retroactive continuity because it's a thing, and obviously it gets done a lot. But we're some way off where they start to ignore things, which is unfortunate. But yeah, this is a good first episode. I think there is definitely arguments to be made for its slowness. Certainly, the story has a 7-part, but it can be slow. But
I think it depends how invested you are in the characters. I think if you if you are, and again potentially, it's these first 13 episodes through from An Unearthly Child through to the second episode of The Edge of Destruction. They almost need to be watched as one long serial, because that's how they flow. If you pick up the start of pick up at the start of the Daleks or The Edge of Destruction, you are picking up in the middle of a dramatic situation. So you need to have what's gone before, at least in your head, if you haven't just watched it before.
I think so too. Yeah, it's a. But anyway, shall we crack on with?
Let's survive.
Let's do the first of Terry's survivors, because there'll be more. Although different sort of survivors next.
They sometimes scheduled in recording breaks to disentangle cameras and if something needed to be set up.
And speaking of
But
a good break, I'm going for a pee.
you're going for a pee, are you?
Yes. So, viewer, it looks like either you got Tim on his own again, or he may vanish for a second. No.
I don't think I need a wee at the moment, but yeah.
Sure.
All right, I'll see you in a few shakes.
Yeah. Hey.
So yeah, so that was episode 2, The Survivors, which, as I said during while we were watching it, it just ramps. I think what is probably like a signature Terry Nation style, as we see it now. It just kind of ramps everything up. So just all the tension, just it all gets ramped up massively. It's not necessarily action again, because it's written to the show's strengths, or rather potentially script edited by David Whittaker to the show's strengths. So it plays perfectly within the limitations that the show has, knows it has at that point. At later stages, they realise that they need to flex their muscles a little bit more, potentially. But at the moment, it's playing to its own strengths. So very tight scenes, close in on the actors, lots of shadow in the background, and yeah, just guiding the viewer into what's important in what's being said, and the reactions of the characters. And you do get a very real sense that these characters are going on a journey, and it's that sort of ridiculous sense that in this, even in adversity, they kind of cling to each other. They cling to one another because that's all they have. Despite the madness that's going on around them, and the just sheer freakiness of where they found themselves, they have to cling to each other, because that's maintaining their sense of what's real. So, and that's The
I
Survivors.
agree. I don't know what he said.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I agree with him.
I'm sure you do.
Sure, I do too.
Right.
Right. So
what's
shall
this? Was this I didn't see what it said the next episode was going to be. Is this
The
something
Escape?
about escape?
Yes. It is The Escape.
The Escape. I remember that it'll be The Escape. Then I think episode 4 is the ambush. Episode 5 is the expedition. I remember that.
Right.
But we'll deal with those next time.
Yes, we will. So, episode 3. Or
Bring it on.
the 7, technically. The Escape. Let's go.
The Escape. So that was The Escape, although they haven't actually escaped yet. They've got out of the cell.
It definitely. Oh.
So
The next episode on the then.
goodness knows what will happen next time.
Who knows?
Indeed.
Well, I enjoyed that.
I
as you said last time, it's always much more interesting when you talk over it, right? No, I think it's good. I think it still holds up. I think it will benefit not watching the whole 7 episodes in a row, because obviously it wasn't designed to be done that way. And anybody who does, like when I did my last Doctor Marathon, I went slightly the opposite way of literally a You Miracle, doing 1 episode a day only, regardless, which took a while, obviously. But
yeah, when ordinarily, if I was watching these episodes, I'd normally sort of split them between meals.
yeah.
So maybe watch one over breakfast and one over lunch and one over dinner or something like that.
Mhm.
At most, at any one time, I'd watch 2. We watched 3 today, and that's been very enjoyable. But we've been
long enough.
we've been chatting over it. We've been coming up with hopefully interesting observations for our viewers.
Side stories and how it relates to us and our lives and what.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of
So
makes it
it's
more interesting, I hope.
But yeah, they weren't made to be watched in that way, and you're the sitting down there and trying to binge watch them is making the episodes the episodes will actively work against that.
I have a question for you.
Ooh,
They always
so I
say,
got an itchy turkey.
yeah, I'm not that at work when I've got my hat
I normally
on.
wear hats for this long.
Not for this long, anyway.
No.
Yeah, question. They often
Question.
say, "Oh, it stood up the test of time well," blah 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 blah. And I wonder, has Doctor Who really stood the test of time comparatively to other shows that would have come out at the time of a similar ilk, which weren't many, obviously? Or is it just familiarity that blinds us to it? And so we're like, oh no, it still holds up really well. But is it because we're so familiar?
That's a very difficult question for us to answer because we are so immersed,
Yeah.
in it and its universe, universe. So
That's official.
it's.
Now.
I mean, I don't know. I personally, when if I think about that kind of question, I have to think back to stuff that I watched years ago. And then because I can kind of, I used to judge Doctor Who when I was watching it, but potentially I still do, judge it against other stuff that I'm watching that is also new. And I think that's when people say it stood the test of time, I think potentially that what you said before is true. It stood the test of time compared to other contemporary programs. So I mean, for example, watching season 24, I was very much aware at the time that there were programs I was watching, drama programs I was watching on children's BBC, which were kind of comparable to that. So that's just little things like in terms of tone and content and seemingly production values and stuff as well. It's tricky. You could compare these early Doctor Who episodes to, I don't know, perhaps something like Quatermass and the Pit, which was 5 years earlier, but I suppose he's similar enough.
Yeah, Doctor Who at this point is difficult because at this point on British TV there wasn't really much else.
Well, no, I mean you've got something like the Avengers.
You'll have stuff, but right now,
yeah, you got the Avengers that was on ITV, and I don't know the Avengers very well at all. It's not a series I've ever particularly got into. But I would imagine that
it's more like Mission Impossible, really.
I think potentially you're trying to compare not chalk and cheese, but cheese and yogurt or something, because they are kind of they're kind of cult programs, but not necessarily comparable. I think if you were comparing, say, Adam Adamant with the Avengers or something, then that's that's different. But I suppose the problem with Doctor Who is there really wasn't anything else like it.
Well, we could return to this question later on when we get to the era when it is other stuff.
Yes,
we can look at, not actually watch, but look at from a conversational point of view and say, does it hold up as well as? I mean, like for instance, when we get to the 70s and we compare it in the late 70s to Blake 7, for instance.
Yes.
And I get, because that's what I often think to myself, like when I look at Blake 7, which I don't feel doesn't hold up very well at all. But it would have been made concurrently with the latter half, towards the end of Tom Baker, early Davis and stuff. And again, I wonder, does that era of Doctor Who hold up, or is it just nostalgia that holds it up? It's a conversation I think that could be fun to have when we get to it later.
It is
Remember, it's a few years away.
And potentially that might be that might be a reason why Bad Wolf Productions have decided to colorize and edit down the Daleks, and they're apparently going to do the same with the War Games. So
I've heard that's going to not cutting that to 90 minutes or something.
We'll see, but it's very difficult for us to look objectively on these things. It's just so.
Okay, cool. Let's wrap this up because hour and a half now, and
everyone's going to get bored.
You don't have jackets to make, do you? You have no jacket potatoes to make today, then?
I don't have jacket potatoes to make today. No.
Joy. Nice.
Yes.
I might make some bangers and mash.
What am I going to do with myself after this recording is finished?
I don't know. Anything you want, I guess.
Well, I could take my turkey hat off and scratch my head.
Yes, I'm going to remove the Grinch off my head so I can actually feel like I've got a head again.
And potentially remove my seasonal jumper. We shall see.
Yes. Oh, point. What is your seasonal jumper? Dalek, I'm thinking?
It's got Daleks on it. It's got
police boxes and sort of
and round Daleks, basically.
And kind of round things. Oh, well, I'm all Grinched, as you can tell.
You are all Grinch, yes.
It's Grinchy Claus is back. I'm not a big Christmas fan. I mean, as a kid, obviously, but nowadays, when you don't have kids around you, you just kind of like, yeah. But we've got this coming up in the real world, because in the real world, this Thursday will be the 21st. But for you guys watching, that'll be the past. Time travel. It's Christmas costume day. And this is as Christmas costumes I'm getting. Because I'm like, we work in a very cold depot, so it's okay for the management to say that. They'll be in the warm office. We'll be in a bloody cold depot, so obviously you ain't going to see what we're wearing because we're going to have jackets on and scarves and all sorts covering us up. So what's the point?
Yes, exactly.
Grr, Grinch. But anyway, okay.
Go on then.
Patreons. Hope you all enjoyed our wonderful revisit of the Daleks episodes 1, 2, 3, or Doctor episode episode 5 to 7. It's going to be fun. We get to Doctor Who that's no longer existing. We'll have to decide what to do then. But in the meantime, please do continue to support us and obviously share. And YouTubers and Spotifyers, I hope you enjoy this very truncated reaction video. Of course, very truncated because of copyright. But do go to Spotify and check out the full version, which is going to be
Patreon and check out the full version.
Not
Spotify.
You said Spotify. Go to Patreon and Spotifyers because you're already on Spotify. Check out the full version on Patreon, which is going to be like a good hour and 40 or so minutes. So it's worth a good old watch on this wonderful Christmas weekend. Which reminds me, once again, hope you all have a wonderful Christmas tomorrow. On Christmas Day, get to spend it with your loved ones if that's your thing, or on your own if that's your thing, because no judgment.
Indeed.
So, in that meantime, once again, goodbye. I've been Andy.
I've been Tim. Merry Christmas.
He has been Tim, and we shall see you on New Year's Eve for more DS9 Shadow Play, which obviously we've done the whole what do you think it's about thing, so we don't need to do that again. So, just to be seasonal, Merry Christmas to you all at home.
Indeed.
Ciao.
Merry Christmas.